Hello, everybody. I know what you're expecting. You're expecting Geeks R Sexy. Well, this is Geeks R Sexy, but I am the stand-in host for today. My name is Danny Vegas, and I live right here in Las Vegas, and I'm standing in for Michelle Davis, who is out in California supporting her family, and we, who are basically sitting in her chair while she takes this leave of absence, are honored to be part of her show. So, what we're going to do today is we have a special, I like to call them business titans, because these business people who come in on these shows to explain what they do are literally titans in business. So what I'd like you to do, let's get the microphone a little bit closer. Right. Go ahead and introduce yourself and the name of your business, and we'll go from there, because I've got a lot of things to ask you.
All right. Hi, I'm Jason LeDuc. I'm the founder of Evil Genius Leadership Consultants.
And, okay, so what we talked a little bit before the green room, and if you want to call this the green room, is when I did a little Facebook stalking, studied your business a little bit so that so I kind of can get some questions for you. There's a lot of business coaches out there. They're out there everywhere, okay? You don't know if they've run a business or not. You don't really know, but they go out there and say they're business coaches. I admit, since I'm a marketing guy, a lot of people come ask me, what do you think of this? What are you thinking of that? But Evil Genius is an evil genius because you have a little bit of a different angle to it because of your military background. So why don't you explain that it's more of a leadership evaluation or schooling or teaching, and not just, okay, this is what you need to do and you need to do this and that and this.
Yeah, what we do at Evil Genius Leadership, I bring my 20 years of military experience as an officer in the United States Air Force. And when you're an officer in the United States Air Force, your most important job is to guide and develop your team, the people coming up behind you, to be future leaders. And that's what I want to bring to the business world, the corporate world, the civilian world, and not just to small business owners, but if you're a manager or a supervisor or even an executive in a larger organization, really work with people on developing their leadership skills and their leadership style so they can build strong teams that they work with, strong teams around them, and develop those future leaders who are going to become the leaders of your organization in the future when you someday move on to a better opportunity.
So when you, let's say Danny Vegas makes the call, I said, hey man, Evil Genius, I need you to come in. Do you kind of like, I don't know, you're not a fixer. Do you come in and like evaluate, like, okay, I know for me, and this is the interesting thing, and I definitely deal with a lot of small businesses, and I do kind of take it from the show out there. It's people, it's process, it's product, and I like to say pathway.
Absolutely.
Because everybody can do all the great things, but they don't have a pathway to anything. But I look at you and I think, you're a little bit higher than that. You take a look at it from almost a different microscope, where I would come and say, well, gee whiz, I can tell you where the problem is. You don't have enough widgets, and you have too much of demand, and you don't have enough widgets, and you don't have enough process to sell the widgets. That's where I'm good at. But you're taking it a little bit higher. You're like, well, that's easy enough, but where's the leadership here?
That's right.
So why this problem is because of something's lacking in the leadership world of this particular entity.
Sure, and it could be as the business owner, as the manager, as the team leader, maybe you need better time management skills. Maybe you need better organizational skills. Maybe your team needs better communication, interaction with each other. Right. It could be anything. And so what I do like to do is when I come into a business or a team is do that evaluation. Let's talk about where your sticking points are. Let's talk about where you think the problems on your team are, where you think your team can improve, and then let's take an outside view. Let me come in with my outside view and see if those match up. And then we can talk about what are the skills you need to develop in order to do that. And it's not just about skills. What I like to do with people, especially if we're talking about the team leader, if we're talking about really growing that team leader to be the best leader they can be and be someone who inspires their team to go off and have initiative and take care of those problems before the team leader even knows they're a problem. That's really what you want as a team leader. But to do that, you've got to have a very consistent leadership style that your team can count on.
Right.
So I like to pull people in and I like to say, what are your core values as a person? What do you believe in most? Because if you try to develop a leadership style around things that you don't believe, your team is going to see through it very quickly. And transparency is very important, especially with young millennials now. They're all about transparency. It's a far different world than when I came up as a young man in the Air Force.
Yes.
So we want to help people develop a leadership style that's true to their personality. And if they have a leadership style that they really want to develop, they really want to grow themselves into, we can work with them that as well. But we talk about your values. So what is it you really believe? And then we also talk about how does what you personally believe fit with the values of your organization. Sometimes there are conflict between what our organization's values are and what our own personal values are. We teach people how to deal with that as well, because the extreme case of if your personal values don't match the organization's values, it might be time to part ways. But there are things you can do. There are ways you can reconcile the differences between your organizational values and your personal values as well.
Well, I love this stuff. It's extremely interesting. So, and I think what's important to people to realize, and I'm sure you see this every day, and I was kind of shocked by it, that sometimes just because a business is successful, they look at the bottom line. Wow, we're just making a lot of money here. But I bet you could still look at it and it's like, yeah, but you guys are broken. And it's amazing. I look at some large companies that you think are, wow, these guys got it made. I wish I could be them. But behind the curtain, they're just as broken as anybody else.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations, corporate, government, nonprofit, where they're meeting the core of the mission, and they on paper they look like they're doing great, but they've just been driving everybody into the ground.
Right.
And so that's something as a leader we need to evaluate. How do we take care of our people? How do we make their work fulfilling and their lives fulfilling? And can we tweak some things? Can we make some adjustments where we're not driving people into the ground with 12, 14, 16-hour days through better management practices, through better leadership practices? Can we make that a little less of a pressure cooker and make it a much more fulfilling environment, while not just achieving what we're achieving now, but growing into something great? Every business owner wants to grow their business.
That's right.
We entrepreneurs, we're not satisfied with what we've got today. We've always got a new thing that we want to do. We always want to grow. It's part of our DNA.
That's right.
And that's what you can do with good leadership practices. And leadership is a lifelong study. I personally believe this is what we were taught in the military. Leadership is a discipline. It's a lifelong study. There's no finish lines. You've never become a great leader. There's no finish lines in this. You're always trying to improve. You're always trying to become an even better leader.
That is the $1 million line of the day. So if you take anything away from this interview, from now live or watching it a year from now, that leadership there's never a finish line. You could always be a better leader, is what you're saying. So, okay. Let's go through the process. I call you up. Now, you come into my business. Do you come in, okay, I'm here for 3 months, or I'm here for 6 months, or it's a year-long thing? How does that tend to work? And the most important thing is, because we only got a couple minutes left, how do we get a hold of you if we want to do that?
So what I like to do is I like to talk to whoever has called me.
Okay.
If it's the leader or the manager themselves, what are the challenges? What are your goals? What do you want to get out of this?
Right.
If it's not the leader who's called me, what do you think the challenges are? Let me talk to the person who's the decision maker about whether I'm going to come in or not, and we'll have a conversation together about where to go. It could be as simple as I might come in for a lunchtime brown bag. Let's talk a little bit, discussion.
Okay.
Work, to all the way to I could come in and do a 1 day, 2 day, 5 day workshop with your team.
Okay.
Or it could be some combination of those things, and maybe some one-on-one coaching with whether it's the business owner, the team leader, or some of the frontline managers. I really like to work with the frontline managers because they're the future of your company.
Okay.
And if you want to keep those frontline managers, they know the technical aspects of your business. You want to grow them to be the future leaders of your company, and you want to give them the initiative and the authority to go take care of problems before you, as the big boss, know you even have a problem. And you need trust to do that. And so that's what I like to do with those.
It's interesting. In fact, I'm probably going to go a little bit long today because we have plenty of time, so that's okay. Give you a little bonus time because I'm fascinated by this. I always, especially when you watch the TV shows and stuff, the family business, where the father is probably, I started with nothing and I walked backwards in the snow, and and now I got these kids and they don't run it like I want to, and is that where you see a lot of it's like, when you get these families together and you get these melded generations, that's where there's a gray area where a lot can be fixed or broken.
I see that in the family business. I saw that in the Air Force between different levels of, what we call the squadron group, wing level of the Air Force, and even higher, or even within a squadron. I saw things like that. I see that in small businesses. I see that in large businesses. And it's about trust. You need to develop trust. There are 3 things that I like to talk about when we talk about developing leaders and in the area of accountability. And we talk about accountability, responsibility, and authority. everyone kind of understands accountability.
Right.
I told you to do something, or you said you're going to do something, and you didn't do it, and now I'm going to drop the hammer on you. Accountability and responsibility are kind of used interchangeably. They're a little bit different, but responsibility is more, I expect you to do this for me. Accountability is who's the law going to come after? Who's going to have to write the check ultimately when things go wrong, right? So, but what I really want to talk about is and what I see all the time is, especially in that family business,
right?
I'll give Johnny the accountability to do something. Go get this done, but I won't give Johnny any authority to make a decision.
Right.
And that's where a lot of that friction comes in sometimes. And that's one of the things, especially with senior managers.
Right.
And when you're talking about those frontline managers, the senior manager has a very high expectation of what his frontline managers are going to take care of for him.
Right.
And as he should or she should. But if you don't give them the authority
to do it,
to go do it, they can't get it done. And then there needs to be a little bit of tolerance for mistakes.
Right.
One of the things that's most important about leadership is we very rarely ever get it right the first time.
Right.
And we learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes. At least that's been my experience in life. And
me too.
You probably have some very similar stories.
Long list, baby. Let me tell you.
So, and that's where it comes down to how much trust do you have in the person and how much authority do you want to give them. If the stakes are high on this, if it's really critical, it gets done right the first time. Little bits of authority. Check in with me. I want to make sure you're on the right path before you make too many big decisions. If the stakes are low, give them that project, give them that authority to go do it, and then
make a mistake. Yay!
Yeah.
Someone told me a long time ago, there's nothing you can do here that'll crash an airplane. So go ahead and make your decisions.
Right.
So anyway. How do we get a hold of you? How do we find you?
Social media all over. Evil Genius Leadership Consultants. A little bit different on Twitter. Evil Genius Lead. We were a little too long to fit the whole thing on Twitter.
I hate that.
But search for us, Evil Genius Leadership Consultants. Google us. Social media, that's where we're at. And you can always email us at info@evilgeniusleadership.com.
And if you can't find them, just call me. I got him on speed dial. This is Danny Vegas for Michelle Davis on Geeks R Sexy. And we're going to run some Michelle Davis classics right after this.